Some of you got some good ideas for my crown, which has come off. Ron says he's had a couple of crowns come off. My dentist told me to use Vaseline to put it back in as a temporary fix, and it works.
Is that a Ron seal?
Oh,
see what I did there?
very good. Penelope says, may I suggest putting some chewing gum around the spiky tooth? That might work.
Okay, so you were a bit off colour first thing because you didn't have a good night with all the pain and everything, but you've perked up, I'd say.
Perked up a little bit.
Perked up beautifully.
Just that constant rubbing on the little sharp
And they said it's not going to be fixed till, what, Thursday?
Thursday.
Oh, dear. Got a week of it.
Though I have still got the crown, so maybe I will try.
Yeah, give it a go with some Vaseline. Let us know if the Ron
Vaseline
seal
doesn't
works.
work, then Penelope, maybe I'll stick it on with chewing gum. Something like that.
Heard it all now.
Could
DB
all
News
work.
viewers have a cure for everything.
Yeah.
Right, we are debating ULEZ now because we've been hearing that the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, has scrapped the party's commitment to rolling out these ultra-low emission zones across the country, which actually is putting him at odds with his own mayor, Sadiq Khan, here in London.
Well, some consider this an attempt from Starmer to take a strong stand. Some is a very unpopular policy in a bid to curb divisions within the party since their defeat in Boris Johnson's seat.
Well, today we're asking, should Labour abandon the ultra-low emission zones? Let's speak to Jamie Chisholm. He's a former Labour supporter who's been badly affected by the introduction of this charging ULEZ system. And we're also joined by...
Donica McCarthy, who's climate columnist for The Independent and a supporter of the policy. Good to see you both this morning. Donica, look, this is unpopular. Right, it's very unpopular enough for Keir Starmer, who'd promised to roll this out across the country if he got into power, saying, actually, I'm rolling back on that now.
Well, first of all, on the popularity thing, all the polls have shown majority of people in London favour ULEZ and favour tackling dirty air. Secondly, the majority of people in the Uxbridge by-election voted for parties pro-ULEZ. Our first past the post, of course, gave it the victory to the Tories. But let's face it, the real issue. I was an asthmatic as a child. I don't know if you have ever experienced somebody having an acute asthmatic attack. It's like taking a cushion and putting it on your face. 12 kids in London die that way from asthma every year. We have an asthmatic crisis in London. 500,000 people suffer from asthma in London, and we have the highest mortality rates for children from asthma in the UK. So the mayor tackling clean air in London is actually on the side of the poor Londoners who suffer lung diseases 7 times higher than richer people, and 80% of poor Londoners do not have a car. The war on ULEZ is a war on the poor.
OK, well, Jamie, what do you say to that? Because you've been a lifelong Labour voter, and they're saying this morning that this is an attack on the poor.
Well, I disagree with the other guy there. I mean, my situation is I'm a self-employed builder. I go to work every day in my van. I'm 76 years old still. The reason I work is because the pensions are useless. What Sadiq Khan's doing is ridiculous. If you he says everyone's for it, well, they're not. If you go to the builders' merchants, which I do all the time, and I speak to people that've got old vans like mine, everybody's complaining about it. Now, just by chance, it's a new MOT certificate I got for my van Friday. So my van's just passed the MOT, and the guy testing this is a government testing centre. The guy that passed it told me the emissions on my van are spot on. I drive that van every day, and I keep hearing that people in vans are at most risk. I'm 76, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm as fit as a fiddle. So I just think it's complete rubbish.
Well, I mean, that's a fair point, Donica, isn't it? If he's got a van with emissions that are on point and all the rest of it, why then should he be penalised at £12.50 a day? It doesn't make any difference.
Well, the mayor has actually brought in a provision that any single tradesperson gets £9,500 to help them replace their van. He's also providing
He's
also providing £2,000 help for anybody who wants to replace a car. There's thousands of cars in London available for under that price. So it's actually helping the poor. And actually, the idea, most tradespeople, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a plumber, they put the congestion charge onto the price you pay. So that actually, therefore, it does not impact the tradespeople either. And I just really think, let's go back to the child. Ella Kissa, Deborah's child, died of asthma because she lived beside the the motorway. Why don't we care about kids in this conversation? Why don't Why isn't there a child here who's actually suffering from asthma talking about, I want clean air? Do we not have a human right?
Because the issue is that people can get asthma wherever they live, and it's a case of whether you can say that they're dreadful cases, but can you make a direct link to say this child has died because of the pollution of cars next to the road?
That was found by an inquest. They actually did say it was Deborah Kiss's death was linked directly to the pollution by the main road. Yeah, so it's very unusual for that to be tested in that way. But doctors are saying that ULEZ and cleaning up our air will reduce the admissions to hospital by 1 million. We were talking just now about the waiting list for the NHS. So this is talking about making people healthier so they don't have to go to hospital.
It's not rocket science. I mean, we see that the particulates in the air are being monitored on roadsides, and we know that there is pollution. The problem is, of course, that a lot of it is, well, all of it is invisible. You can't see it.
Yeah.
But isn't the problem in all of this that the clean air that is being proposed is being pitted against this penalty for working people? And actually, the way this is being sold to people has fallen down. People are broadly in favour of trying to clean up the planet, trying to live in a better place. But unfortunately, people don't want to be out of pocket as a result.
That's right. But, I mean, we're only trying to go to work, that's all. And we drive vans. Years ago, they used to use horse and carts. I mean, my cousin suffers badly from asthma. He lives in a mountain village in Scotland with very few people, and he's in a terrible state with asthma. But so it's not necessarily to do with vans. And this pollution thing's been going on for thousands of years. We've had loads of ice ages before the car was ever thought of, and they're just using cars as an excuse. Sadiq Khan is just looking only at money.
Well, is that the problem in this, that people are seeing it perhaps as a sort of form of taxation, that this is another way of generating cash for the mayor, indeed could be rolled out across the country, and that's why this is failing as a sort of policy idea?
Well, it's actually saying it's a tax on pollution. It's a pollution charge. It's saying if you have a vehicle that's actually damaging people's health, we will actually put a tax on it to encourage you to clean the air. He talked about pollution always. In London in the 1950s, we had the smog. People were dying because of the government acted. We now
How did they act? Because, you know...
Because they banned coal fires. So what we could do is either ban all of these vans or do an encouragement by actually putting a tax to gradually change it over.
Well, what about subsidies? Why does it have to be...
There is a subsidy. There's a £9,500 subsidy. So if
but what about I mean, this is for people who are perhaps white van drivers. What about other people who...
Oh, they get £2,000.
There's £2,000 for every driver in London who's got a non-compliant gets £2,000. If you're disabled, you get £5,000. And if you're a van man driver, you get £9,500. If the argument is that doesn't cover... So if the Tories are concerned about poor people, which they should, because this is pollution is an attack on poor people, then argue for an increased subsidy. Don't argue for keeping the air dirty.
What do you reckon, Jamie? £9,500 to swap your van over?
Right, a van like mine, I'm a chippy, so I carry long lengths of timber, I carry 8x4 sheets, I need a decent-sized van to carry my tools and equipment. When I finish jobs, I have to take rubbish away with me. I can't leave rubbish around your house. So I have a decent-sized van. Right, a compliant van, according to Mr Khan, will cost at least £20,000. That's for a second-hand van. A new van is up near £70,000. Right, £2,000 is just ridiculous.
No, so you get 9.5.
Basically, what do you expect builders to do? I go to Selco's, a major builders merchants. I see loads of vans. There's loads of people bought brand new vans or got them on lease. They're up to their ears in debt. And I see loads of people. They've stopped using their vans. They're riding around in little estate cars with cement mixers and agro props hanging out the back. I see a bloke there the other day with tons of wood trying to poke it all up round his ears to drive because he can't use a van but he can use a car. Yeah. You know, the whole thing, it's just purely about Mr Khan and money. If the vehicle's... Hang on one sec. If the vehicle's bad, if the vehicle... All right, shaking your head. If the vehicle's bad, ban the vehicle. We'll all stop going to work. Then no one will get any jobs done. The country will go down the pan.
All right, well, look, on that note, Jamie, Donica, we've got to leave it there. We're out of time. But good to see you both this morning. You're going to have a view on that let us know, please. gbviews@gpnews.com.
Can I just tell you one thing?
Just
I've
quickly,
got a motorbike as well that don't comply, and on Sunday there's a bike run, a ULEZ protest run from the Ace Caf to Box Hill. It's at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. There'll be thousands of bikers because this Khan is wrecking everybody's way of life.
No, it's not.
And it's about time Sadiq Khan...
What about the asthmatic children? What about the asthmatic... Do you not care about asthmatic children?
Hang on.
It's not destroying people's lives. It's you,
Keir Starmer
ULEZ.
got himself a backbone and held a Khan to
What
account
about
because
that
he's
specific
making...
point about what about asthmatic children and ruining people's lives, as Donica said?
It's bullshit, isn't it?
No, got to apologise for the language there.
Sorry about that.
Do apologise.
Go and visit the
Mr.
children.
Khan,
Go to
every
the
time he
hospital.
opens his mouth, he just picks figures and facts out the sky. He has no proof about anything.
So how many asthmatic kids are there in London?
Yeah, it's just...
Look,
500,000 asthmatics.
Well, look, on that
Yeah, we'll have
note,
to leave it there.
We're getting into too many specifics there. The questions, you know, we don't have those details too. But good to see you both this morning.
Thank you. We have to leave it there.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'd like to have another half hour because I've got...
Well, I'm sure, no.
Well, we'll carry this on in the break. In the
We
meantime,
will.
we've got to take a quick
Yeah.
break because we've got to get through the papers. Stay with us for that.
Right.
We've got Dawn Neeson and Chris Akabusi. We'll be discussing the COVID inquiry, amongst other things.
Right, thanks.